Welcome to At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this week, it's the most anticlimactic movie in sports, starring your dad.
The Rookie from 2002.
15 years ago, Jimmy Morris put his dreams aside. But sometimes, when you least expect it, dreams come back to life. It started as a simple bet.
I promised to try out. It was this thing to get the kids to start playing.
It became the most incredible true story
Rule number one is arms slow down when they get over.
in baseball history.
Did you forget what it was called for a second?
No, I just forgot what I was supposed to do. You thought it was anticlimactic. I guess you would.
What do you mean you guess I would?
I mean, that's such a triumph to be able to do that as an old man.
Oh my god. Okay, I think we have two very different perspectives
No, well,
on this
I
movie.
knew we would because you were trashing it from the get-go. And I'm like, oh, this is a fine movie.
Oh my god. This movie was incredibly boring. So boring.
At parts, it was boring.
And it seems as though they cut out certain scenes that would have make a little more sense.
What didn't make sense?
Well, like, it made sense after the fact, but I feel as though they cut out scenes of him originally being drafted and playing, because then it was...
That they definitely should have done.
Because then it was all of a sudden, oh yeah, you had your chance, and I'm like, that was why it was kind of anticlimactic. I think it would have been improved if they would have had more of that and less of his high school team he was coaching.
No, that was great. I love that. I feel like they couldn't like find an actor that was right to do that little middle story.
Yeah, maybe.
But they really should have.
I think that my biggest problem with this movie is there was a lot of scenes of Dennis Quaid basically just staring off into the sunset.
So that is my biggest problem with this movie, is that there are a lot of like silent scenes and a lot of montages that it's just kind of like, okay.
And also, I think I am a little biased because I just don't really like baseball movies in general.
Right.
I think they're very boring and they're kind of all the same. And also, the fact that this dude only played for one season.
Did he? We don't know that he played after this.
No, I looked it up.
Oh.
He only played for two seasons, basically.
Well, that's pretty good.
I know, I don't really care. Like, it's just...
I get it. And maybe...
And I'm just surprised.
Maybe being a man, I just get it a little better.
I think that actually is probably very accurate, because I was just like, okay, here's another old dude, don't really care.
Right. It's not like I was like, oh my god, I care so much about this, but I appreciated it for what it was. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a good story.
I'm really surprised, actually. I really thought you weren't going to like this movie.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Wow.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, absolutely. Dennis Quaid was really good.
Well, Dennis Quaid is pretty good in most things that he does. And he had no problem with the acting in this movie. The acting was not the problem.
His old lady was good.
Oh my god.
I'm serious. The guys in town at the general store playing cards all the time, they were hilarious.
I wish they would have had more of those guys.
So do I.
Like, because that was the other thing, is that I wanted less of him staring off into a field looking confused but also pensive at the same time.
And his team was really good too.
Well, yes, I enjoyed some of that, but the one scene that I really, really bothered me was they made the whole, like, oh, are they going to win the game or are they not going to win the game?
Yeah, that was over the top.
They spent a lot of time on that scene trying to make it dramatic when the story's not about them. It's about him. And I just didn't really... they could have shortened that a lot.
Yeah, and that is the biggest problem in this movie, is they needed to shorten a lot of things.
Yeah.
They needed to rein it in a little, tighten it up.
Yeah.
Would have really helped a lot.
Yeah, so we're going to clearly have very different opinions about the movie,
and
which
like
is fine.
in the end, when they were in AAA, I really liked him with the young kids. To me, I thought that was cool. But I guess that's just me. I mean... It's
fine. I think you just have a greater appreciation for baseball than me.
It's not even about baseball to me. It's just about... So I guess this is going to be where it comes obvious. It's about dudes.
You know what we get to do today, Brooks? We get to play baseball.
Dudes.
And camaraderie. I get, the thing.
I don't get it.
Yeah. And I really enjoy that they took a dude who's way older and put him in this role because he's ludicrously old looking.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a minute.
I was like, wait a minute, he looks like he's like 50 something, and he's not. He's not supposed to be 50 something.
Oh my god, my paper keeps falling.
But it does. That decision does drive the point home that he's old.
You the old guy?
I'm the old guy.
Yeah,
It helps.
I get that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I just didn't really care that much about the story that much. I don't think I think I liked the beginning part, and I liked certain parts of it, but it just felt boring for a lot of those scenes. So I just wasn't really.
That's
into it.
fine. We don't have to agree all the time. It's actually kind of better when we don't.
I'm just expected more from you, I guess.
Fuck up.
Let me read the synopsis really quick. Okay. The Rookie. Sports, biographical, family. High school coach Jim Morris thought his dream was over. He'd had his shot at playing baseball, blew out his shoulder, and retired without ever reaching the big leagues. Then, in 1999, he made a bet with his perpetually losing team. If they won the district championship, Jim, who threw a 98-mile-per-hour fastball, would try out for the majors. The team went from worst to first, and Jim was soon on the road to becoming the oldest rookie in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They went from zero to hero.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess that's the true story. That's a pretty good story.
No, it's a good story.
I don't know. That's why I don't understand I get that a lot of it was boring, but it's a good story.
It is a good story. The story's fine. It just felt very anticlimactic. I think also for the fact that I found out he only played for 2 seasons. I'm like, okay, that's not as good.
To me, that's amazing. I can't even believe that he played 2 seasons. It's hard for anybody to play 2 seasons.
Is it though?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Think about all of those kids that play single A, double A, triple A baseball, sometimes for 10 years. They never make it. They just spend their whole lives on buses and on strangers' couches in places like Wenatchee with the red apple, or with the apple socks.
Apple socks.
I mean, that's a tough life. And so few make it to the big show.
It is. Okay.
I mean, to me, thinking about it at that perspective, to me, I think it's very good.
That's a fair point. I think that I just really had a problem with the choices that were made in the scene cutting, and then the stuff they chose to include, and the stuff that I think could have made it a better movie.
I don't disagree with any of that. That's what lowered the score for me, was a lot of the odd choices that they made.
Yeah. And so our director, John Lee Hancock,
who is no rookie. I mean, he did The Blind Side.
Well, this was before that, though.
Yeah, this was like his first big deal, really.
Kind of a big deal. And then we'll see him again with Saving Mr. Banks.
Is that really a...
I'm pretty sure it's on our list. Let me double check.
Oh, interesting. But isn't it like a documentary?
No.
Oh.
No. No, not even a little bit.
And then The Highwayman, which is some Bonnie and Clyde movie, which seems crazy. And then he also made The Founder, which is a movie I really want to see that I haven't seen yet, with Michael Keaton, about the founding of McDonald's.
Yeah, I know you want
where
to
he's
watch
Ray
that.
Kroc. I really do. And I don't know why I haven't watched it in all these years, but now that I've seen this movie, I really want to watch that movie.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to watch that.
I'll watch anything with Michael Keaton. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, it's on our list.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll be seeing this fella again.
Well, we didn't actually see him, but... And then,
his work.
I know we talked about adding the writing, so I did look up the writing stuff, too. The writer was Mike Rich. He hasn't done a ton of stuff, but he did Finding Forrester, which I think I've actually seen. It's about, like, a novelist or a poet. And has, like, Sean Connery and then, like, some other guy. I don't know. Radio, which is another sports movie. Mm-hmm. With Cuba Gooding Jr.
Cuba. Yeah. That's his whole thing.
Secretariat, which I believe is also a Disney movie. Oh. And Cars 3.
So, another sports movie with Secretariat, and then Cars 3. Interesting. Okay, cool.
So we'll see his work again.
Dennis Quaid, I'm surprised at how much of his stuff I don't know. But he seems so familiar.
Yeah, well, it's like he's like a dad. I mean, really, he's like the quintessential dad. I mean, we will see him again in Parent Trap. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Parent Trap was the big one to me. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, and he's I think he's great in that movie. But
yeah, he's when I saw it, I was oh, this is going to be a way better movie than I thought it was going to be. That's the perfect guy to be Brian Keith's replacement.
Well, it's just a different direction. Brian
Keith but it's a different direction, but it's at least the right guy to do the thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's been, in a ton of movies I haven't seen, but everybody just knows who he is.
And I can't believe he's not related to Randy Quaid with that last name.
Oh my god.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. He always just plays like a dad character. That's kind of always his character, it seems like.
Yeah, that's just who he is. I mean, well, he was in the Wyatt Earp movie that's a good movie.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
He was in, he's a dad in that one, but I actually always think about that really bad movie, Day After Tomorrow, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I've definitely never seen that.
Oh, I've definitely seen it. And it's, if you like the natural disaster, end of the world movies, it's terrible and amazing at the same time. It's so bad. But he played just like a lot of kind of B-level 90s, 2000s movies. He did a lot of those.
And his wife, Rachel Griffiths. From Muriel's Wedding.
Yeah, and apparently she plays a character named Brenda on 6 Feet Under, which we haven't seen,
but I know is a massively popular show.
And you see her, and you're like, oh, she's that lady from that thing. Like everybody knows her,
right? And she was very good.
She was fine.
I think she took a very small role and made it work really well.
Correct, sir.
She just was, I don't know. You could have replaced her with anybody for me.
See, I don't think so. I think that she did a good job of playing a background character that was at least somewhat complex.
And there weren't actually, there were a few other notable people, but so his son, Hunter, that kid looks so familiar.
Yeah, it's the kid from 2.5 Men.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay. And he was fine.
You see why he was what he was, and this kid made his millions by being the best one-liner kid in history. And that's what he did in 2.5 Men. All he could do was just deliver one-liners. He's a one-liner master from a little kid on. Because that's all he did in this movie. He'd only deliver one line at a time.
Yeah, Dad, bring the heat.
Just one line. And it works. And then, to me, the other guy is Brian Cox, his dad.
Yeah.
He's been in everything, like Super Troopers and X-Men and all that kind of stuff. Adaptation, if you're into that.
Haven't seen that.
It's such a good movie.
Haven't seen that. And then Beth Grant, who plays his mom, she's pretty notable as well.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody, I immediately think she plays a small part in Little Miss Sunshine, but she's really good in that one. She plays one of the judges, like the really snooty judge lady. Yeah. But she's been in a ton of stuff. And then also, the one, Jay Hernandez, that was on his high school team, he's a pretty notable actor also now, too. Okay. He does a lot of those, like...
Was he Whack?
Yeah, he does a lot of those, like, firemen and police movies,
that makes sense.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. That guy looks like that,
but his most famous movie is Hostel. Okay. And he does a lot of horror movies, too.
Cool. So do you have any fun facts, Kelly?
I have a few. I have a couple.
Go for it.
In real life, Jim was 35 when he signed with the Rays. Dennis Quaid was 47.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big gap. I have that Dennis Quaid actually pitched at an MLB game during the 7th inning stretch.
Even though he had a double for his pitching. And I didn't write this one down, but it is a fact. The person on the poster is not Dennis Quaid. Yeah. It's his double.
Definitely seems like it. Yeah, because he definitely can't pitch. What else you got?
Oh, and yeah, the young kid who plays him as a youth, Trevor Morgan, he was actually pitching in those shots, and he had to learn to pitch left-handed for this movie.
Wow, that's tough. Damn. That's pretty good. I have that Brian Cox, Dennis Quaid's dad, was only 8 years older than Dennis Quaid, and he looks like he's 20 years older than Dennis Quaid.
And his mom was only 5 years older than him.
That's so creepy.
It is a little creepy. Well, they made her look really old in the later parts.
Yeah. So let's plow through this movie. I think we can do this relatively quickly.
Let's hit our way through.
Because once again,
not a lot happened.
Well, a lot happened, but it was a lot of montaging.
It was a lot of montaging.
So, the movie starts off with this whole nuns and oil thing that just, they could have cut way out of the movie.
That was my other thing I was going to say, is that whole thing, I thought it was going to somehow play into it later, but...
here's how it should have played into it, and they should have stretched the truth. When they had to get off the field to practice, and they went to that, like, gravel yard, they should have went to that field to practice playing baseball.
Okay, right?
That would have made more sense for the movie. I know it may not have been the story, but for the movie... it would have tied all this together, and that was a huge failure.
And somebody could have hit a thing, and they could have found like an old mitt, or like, hey coach, look what I found, or
old
like
ball, something
to tie it in, or like the whole oil drilling thing. Like it just,
well, the oil drilling thing made sense to me because that's the only reason you have a town in this whole place.
It just didn't. It wasn't tied in how I wanted it to be tied in, I guess. So yeah, there's a whole story about how the town was formed.
And then a whole story about him being a Navy brat moving all over the place and his dad being kind of like a cold prick.
His dad is kind of a not as mean version of what's-his-face on King of the Hill. His dad.
No, a meaner version of of Hank Hill.
Well, but... no, Hank Hill's dad.
Oh, of Cotton.
Yeah.
He is a less mean Cotton. That's a good way to go.
Because their relationship is kind of the same.
Yeah, it is very similar.
He still wants his approval.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Good.
Hank, Bobby and me have decided he's going to stick vegetables up his nose. He's not going to take over the family gas station.
Dad, I don't work at a gas station. I sell propane and propane accessories.
Don't sass me, boy.
A more realistic Cotton Hill, yeah.
And the beginning of the movie was, to me, a lot more compelling than a lot of the movie. Like, it was very sad, especially when gets to play baseball, and then his dad's like, oh, I could just stay with his family.
We gotta move.
And he's like, I did 13 strikeouts, and his dad just doesn't care. And that's actually a big deal for a kid.
Yeah, it is. That's really good. And I kind of relate to that because I sort of grew up in a Navy town, and you'd see kids just kind of disappear overnight like that, and it's just like, all right, whatever.
It's sad because if your kid is legitimately naturally gifted at something, you should nurture it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if they're kind of okay, like, don't push it. But if they're
if they're kind of okay, just roll with the punches. And
so it's very sad. But so they moved to this dinky little town in Texas. No baseball there. Nobody cares about baseball in Texas. They all care about football, which is true,
yeah. Well, maybe in West Texas, but I feel like in Texas in general, all sports are...
yeah, but football is...
king. Absolutely, yeah.
In a lot of states in the country, football is...
no, mostly just the South.
And we get a nice scene where he goes, and they're moving, and they left his glove and his socks apparently in some box, which is very sad.
Yeah.
And he has to go to the store to get socks, and this is where we meet the nice... group of gentlemen at the store who help him. The one guy helps him find socks and then gets the baseball mitt.
And he's like, oh, this is not a baseball place. Oh, ha, ha, ha. So he goes to the ancient baseball field that the guy was talking about with the oil derrick. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he grows up. So he's just driving the old Ford truck and... well,
and you have no idea that he actually sort of made it, but then got hurt. That was not addressed at all.
This was one of the biggest flaws of the movie. And they kind of recap at a restaurant scene with all those same old guys. And for some reason, just his son, which was another very confusing part.
He has 3 kids.
He has 3 kids, but he only takes his son around town with him, which is just...
yeah, I didn't even...
very confusing.
Because there was a girl later that I'm like, wait, that's just a friend. And then, she's there. And I'm like, oh, okay. And you knew, like, it just was not...
yeah, it wasn't. It was weird. It was very weird. And we see Butts Hardware.
Butts Hardware?
Yeah, I had to point that out. That was one of the signs in town. And this is where we see he's a high school science teacher and coach.
And he's getting slapped in the butt.
Yeah, by his wife.
Which was a very... just okay.
Yeah, it was all right. Okay, then the restaurant. Yeah, okay. And then, for some reason, his kid is like, does your arm hurt anymore, Dad? And he's like, no, it doesn't. And he does night pitching at a fence where he's clearly beating up the fence. And I get that. Like, I'm a huge fan of throwing, and I have arm problems. I get it as a stress relief.
And he's essentially, I don't know, I saw this as like he's trying to relive his...
Oh no, I totally get it as him just blowing off steam. So then all of a sudden we find he has a wife and baby too, but we don't figure out the other kid yet.
No.
The middle child that does not come up.
Yeah, and we find he's also the baseball coach. No one cares about the baseball team. They only care about the football team.
Right, they have like a dirt field, a bunch of smart kids.
How about taking a look at the numbers on that scoreboard out there? What do those numbers tell you?
How to get a hold of Bo's Tire Barn.
And then he's the catcher of the team's like, yo, bro, let's throw me some stuff for real.
Yeah, he's like, feed me, coach, which is not creepy at all.
Bring the heat. So it's clear that he can still just burn a baseball. And they do this funny sound effect.
Oh, of it hitting the glove?
Well, no, of his arm or the ball. They do this sound effect.
Oh, I thought it was real.
Yeah.
I thought it was real.
And then it hits the glove, and he's like, ow, it hurts. And then there's this really weird scene of the janitor showing him why there's no grass on the field, because deer get out there and eat the seeds?
Apparently.
Which, I don't know that's what deer do, but maybe.
I don't know, but then, yeah, so he, like, you would think you would just put up well, I guess deer can jump over a fence, so that wouldn't really help, but...
You just pee all around the field and that'll get rid of them.
Well, maybe he didn't know that. And, he goes home, and his wife she's not very amused that he's throwing, because she doesn't want him to get hurt.
Right, and they're drinking wine and having a good time, but he's like, eh. So then he throws batting practice the next day.
And yeah, the kids are talking to him, and then he just starts throwing hard, and they're like freaking out, which I did enjoy this scene.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my god, it's crazy.
So we go back to the old guys, and the old poker man needs 3 weeks to get the field greener than the grass in Dublin.
Yeah, and he's acting all suspicious about it, and it's not really a big deal.
The same thing happened to me. Well, he doesn't want to give a secret away, which his secret is to get a bunch of hair from the barbershop and throw it all over the field, which drives the deer off, which actually kind of makes sense to me, because they just smell people and they just go away.
That's gross.
That's the same thing as peeing around the field.
So his team isn't very good. They suck, basically.
Well, they don't try very hard. They're just kind of... And it seems like they should have talent that they don't, but,
But then, magically, during the pep talk, they decide, oh, coach, if we win the district, you have to...
try out for the big leagues.
Which, it's... Okay, sure. So all of a sudden they start winning, and I know it's a true story, but that is the most insane part of this whole thing, is that all of a sudden they're really good.
But see, when he's talking about changing jobs, he's like, these kids, they have something, but they're just not using it. I mean, sometimes you can recognize talent in a team that maybe is not being utilized in the best way it can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. And so, yeah, he's being all pensive, and he goes out and stares at the speedometer, which apparently this is one of the only scenes in the movie
I hated this scene.
Well, it didn't actually happen.
Yeah, I hate it.
You know why?
I hate it.
Because I don't think it would read a freaking baseball.
Of course it wouldn't. Yeah, and he throws a baseball in front of this speed trap thing, and it says 7-6. And as he's running to go pick up the ball, the part that didn't light up at first shows 9-6, and it's just like, off.
Yeah,
and also, what high school doesn't have a radar gun? None.
Well, nobody cares about the baseball program.
Well, maybe not in the 80s or whenever this was supposed to take place.
The
90s, but come on.
But I mean that's actually believable to me, because they didn't even have enough gloves for everybody.
Yeah.
But
they had a radar gun at my high school, and my high school was dog in the 90s. I don't know.
And then he goes to see his dad, because it's his son's birthday or whatever, and he's just not amused. But we do learn that his parents divorced at some point.
Yeah, so they're way old. He goes to see his dad, and it's uncomfortable. He gives his kid a first baseman's mitt, which is really would not be cool. You'd be kind of pissed, because that's a very specific mitt along the lines of a catcher's mitt. You'd be like, what am I supposed to do with this thing?
Well, and his kid, is super sweet. He's like, oh no, I love it. I love first base.
Which is the position designed for the dude who's jacked and can hit hard and doesn't have to move very much.
Yeah, and but then when he goes home to the birthday party, then his mom kind of gives him a pep talk. She's like,
they go on a walk and have like this really weird heart to heart.
Yeah, and she's like, "You had your shot. You got a family to take care of." Which I'm like, "Yeah, that's true."
Is it though? Always like sometimes you gotta
follow your dreams.
Yeah, you gotta follow your dreams, bro.
Okay.
So then we go back to practice, and there's better they need better pitching, so he starts throwing hard at the kids, and that's when all of a sudden they're good, is because he starts throwing hard at them, and they can actually hit now.
Yeah, that actually probably...
Because they've seen good stuff, and that actually makes sense. It's like, oh, well, yeah, you'll learn to hit hard if you can have some crazy person throwing 98 at you.
Would you ever coach a team for anything?
Oh, I'd definitely coach wrestling, absolutely. Yeah.
My dad coached my basketball team once, but...
Oh, I would consider basketball, but it'd have to be pretty young.
Yeah, we were young.
Yeah.
We were like in third grade.
Yeah, but basketball or wrestling, I would definitely coach.
And then, I even wrote, this is a very long montage. There was a long montage of them...
there's a lot of long montages.
Of them winning, and it just kind of went on,
and at the end of it, we see the Fort Worth job offer... Coach coming back next year, a little scene with Whack, and it's like, oh my goodness. So then we get this other montage of them at the district championships.
This really bothered me.
And it's just like this dramatic, stupid, that no sports movie ever needs to do this again. It's been done 100 times. And this was like 10 or 15 minutes long.
It was very long, and this is, I think, actually where the movie
Is this where you started to fall asleep?
Well, it just really killed it for me, because it's not really about them, it's about him, and they could have made this shorter, they could have made the other parts shorter, and it would have tightened up. And
right, they should have had one montage instead of two.
Yeah, it just...
Of them winning, because now it's your turn, coach. Everybody comes up to him, it's your turn, coach, it's your turn, coach, it's your turn, coach. Okay, whatever. Great.
Which was a fine scene, but it would have just been more effective if all that other stuff was shorter. So he does go to a tryout, doesn't tell his wife.
Yeah, he hides it from his wife, and he takes his kids.
Which I don't know why. She didn't really even seem that mad.
This was a little bit of a hole as well. There are definitely some holes of like...
It just was just strange. I don't
Maybe
know.
he just didn't want to... My feeling is what they were going for, is he didn't want to tell her that he went and then lost and didn't get anything. Like, to me, that seems like he just didn't want to admit that he didn't have the stuff. And so he's immediately recognized at the tryout from when he was younger, and the guy's thinking he's bringing, like, his kid or some kid he was coaching. He's like, no, I'm here for me.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, and... Apparently, when you try out, like, they don't even necessarily call you or necessarily, because it had been the whole day and he's waiting, and then he's telling his son, oh, I might not even get called to try out. It's fine.
Yeah, they might not believe him.
But then, they do call him, and he pitches 98 miles an hour. Ooh.
As he abandons his child's.
Yeah.
Which is a good scene, actually, where he's trying to change a diaper and the guy's calling him out. Like, that's effective storytelling. And yeah, so he throws really, really well. And he finds out that he threw 98 multiple times, which is impossible for any real person.
Well, I mean, people do it.
Very few people do it, yeah.
You can count them on one hand.
Yeah, you really, yeah.
Do you know how many guys can throw the ball 98 miles an hour?
Not many.
I don't really know much about
My best is the low 70s.
Well, you're not a professional baseball player.
No.
But yeah, so the guy's telling him, you might actually get a call. He goes home and he tells his wife, and then she's all mad.
Well, she heard first.
Oh, that's right, because she...
And then the little girl comes in and says, I'm supposed to give you the pizza and not tell you anything else.
Which was cute. That was very cute. And so he tells her, and she's not happy because she's like, you have a family to support, and she's not wrong.
Yeah, she acts like a little bit of a weirdo.
But she's also not wrong.
But then she comes back around about the kid.
Yeah, which is true.
So she just she kind of has it was a quick, I hate it, I love it reveal. He does another pitching thing in the driving rain for the scouts. Then he goes and asks his dad for advice, and his dad basically gives him the worst possible advice. You should give up, which is just terrible advice. I mean, really, the guy's pitching 98 miles an hour. The only thing you should say is, like, get out there and kick ass. You're in the top nth percent of people. Go do it.
Yeah, it's just, I would understand why she would be concerned, though, because then that means they only have one income.
Yeah, but she wasn't that concerned after she came around.
Yeah, and so then he goes to the minor leagues, and
she just doesn't want him to get hurt again. That's the whole thing. And admits she's wrong. Then he goes out to play Double-A, which, okay. And he plays bad at first, but then he's on the bus. He settles down. He's pitching great. He's at Triple-A.
Some sort of, what did I say, super dramatic bus.
Yeah, that's a super dramatic bus montage.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's
where
what
he's flashing back.
I was like, what?
Yeah, then he does the payphone tutor thing, and jealous, angry teammates. And one of my favorite parts of this is that they call him River, as in Old Man River, which is a fantastic nickname for an old guy.
I didn't get that.
That's
so
hilarious.
I was, okay, whatever.
No. Because you missed where just at one point they call him Old Man River, and then they just start calling him River after that. And that's on the all-time pantheon of great nicknames.
And, okay, actually I did write down one quote here that I thought was really funny. Hey, River, what was it like watching Babe Ruth play? that was funny.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's why I like this movie, is because at every phase, they found an effective way to kind of make fun of Dennis Quaid, which I appreciate personally. Like, this, to me, the guy who was the other hot guy in AAA, I really appreciated his performance. He was very good.
Yeah, and there's basically a ton of baseball stuff. And again, like, if you're like me and you don't really, I like going to baseball games, but you don't really care about all the nitty gritty, like, there's just a lot of that, and there was another montage in here somewhere.
Well, he's the best relief pitcher that month, yet he wants to go back home.
Yeah, and then
he almost gives up.
Yeah, and then he gets called up, and he makes it, ooh, super dramatic family reunion.
You being better, Ocho.
Well, whoa. No.
What?
Because he gets called up. The guy plays it up really well. He's like, oh, you're going to have to go tell Brooks he's going to get called up. Oh, but you are too. And it's like, oh my God. So the whole town gets together to come to Arlington to come see him pitch his first game, even though there's literally no way of knowing he's going to get subbed in as the relief pitcher.
Yeah.
But he does. And he has this, and like there's like this crazy town parade of them cruising, which is funny. But the whole town comes to the game. They show the wife and kids meeting him, and daddy's got to get to work. Big lights, big game. And he gets the call. He's coming in from the bullpen. And this is right here where I wrote, Kelly doesn't care. Because you looked so bored.
I was bored. I was very bored.
You looked like you just couldn't care less about anything that was happening of all time. I'm just like, and I had like little tears coming down my eyes. I was like, oh my God, this is so incredible.
And I'm like,
Kelly's like, I don't care at all.
I didn't.
So he comes in, he throws the heat. He strikes out the batter. The press is all over him. He sees his dad. His dad's still kind of a cunt no matter what.
Yeah, and that was
But he gives him, like, the forgiveness ball. But I think it just shows that that guy's not going to change. His dad is just a cunt, and he shouldn't change. That is who he is. So...
I mean, and then his wife looks all pensive, and...
Oh, no. She's all mad because she didn't get a baseball because she wants the bat.
Was that an innuendo, David?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How do you feel being the oldest rookie in the last 30 years?
Well, I don't know. I'm tired.
The whole town congratulates him. Then we go back to the nuns and the roses, and the movie's over.
I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, and especially since the town didn't. That's not actually where it took place.
Is it not?
It's a different town in Texas.
So I didn't look up any of that stuff.
That's a weird change.
Which is fine. I don't care. I mean, that's fine. But okay, that's.
Wait. So the young kid, his name is Trevor, or the kid when he plays him when he's young, his name is Trevor Morgan.
Trevor Moore.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the same. Never mind.
No, Trevor Moore, I would have freaked out.
Okay, what was your favorite part, David?
Him hitting the big leagues.
So the end, basically.
The hair in the field. Trying to think. There's a part that I'm just totally missing that I liked. What about you?
I liked young Jimmy when he first meets the old guys in the store. And,
yeah, that's good.
I just wish there was more. And I like the hair in the baseball field with the deer. And I like even the little scene where they're in the restaurant and the guy's listening to the Christmas song. And he's like, this here is a good song. Is too good a song to only be played for 1 month of the year or something.
Oh, yeah. The restaurant scene is really funny.
So I liked all the scenes with the old dudes, and I wish there was more of those, I guess.
Yeah. I like the river scene, him being old. That's funny. The music, I mean, there was good folk Western music in this. It was all good, but I don't really know it.
No, I can't really recall any of the songs. I mean, there was some Elvis Presley in there somewhere. There was some
Willie Nelson, some John Hyatt.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good stuff. Nothing I know super well.
I got an old pair of boots and they fit just right. Well, I can work all day and I can dance all night. I got an old used car and it runs just like a top. I get the feeling it ain't ever gonna stop.
The main character, Jim Morris, he's very believable. Dennis Quaid nailed it, knocked it out of the park, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, he did fine. It's just, he's just a guy. I mean, I just didn't really feel anything.
You're just going jag on him, just a guy. All right.
I just didn't, I didn't feel anything when
Jimmy
he
Mo
made it, so.
Is a jag. I think you were drunk.
I think I just didn't really care about baseball.
I think you probably, well, yeah, maybe. There's no villain.
No, and that, I mean, they kind of make it like his dad, I guess. But,
and his dad did play a decent villain of just being a prick, but that's
he was
fine.
only in, like, you know, the beginning and then one other scene, really. So
the beginning, one scene in the middle, and then the end. So, not early and often, not effective. So the side character team, the wife, and his other players that he's with. And the kid. Yeah, the kid.
Yeah, the typical dumb kid. But they were all fine. I mean, I had no problem with the characters or the acting in this movie. It was mainly just the direction and the scene choices that they...
I actually agree with that 100%. And the cinematography in this movie is really good. It looks fantastic. Throughout the movie, it looks good. There are a lot of cool, like, kind of nature shots, like where he's throwing... Every time he's throwing a baseball at a fence, it looks really good. Yeah. The quality is kind of, it's hard to argue with, and that's my biggest surprise is, oh, this was a high quality sports movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It wasn't bad. It was. I mean, I didn't really like it. I'm not gonna lie. What was your biggest surprise or disappointment, David?
There was a high quality sports movie. That's what I said.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you meant that was your biggest surprise. I mean, honestly, I'm just really surprised, I guess, and disappointed at the stuff they included and the stuff they didn't include that just seemed like very obvious, like, oh God, if you change this, it's going to be a, 50% better movie. That didn't make sense to me.
All right, fair enough. And I feel like there were a lot of quotable lines, but just as a disclaimer, due to unforeseen circumstances, we had to record this the day after, and I can't remember any of them.
No buts about it. I'm getting enough butts as it is.
Yeah.
When he's changing the diaper. And the river one about how was it to see Babe Ruth play. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, there's two right there, but there was more than that. And if you remade this movie, I would just shorten it.
Yeah.
Tighten it up.
But
I would ratchet.
But I would also include, like I said, the stuff
intermediate
about
part.
his earlier career, because that would have just made it. I think actually that would have made it.
It would have been cool to see him go through all that pain that they're talking about. where he's like, oh.
And it could have been a montage. They could have done that.
A pain montage of him in young makeup would have been very effective. That would have worked.
And it just would have been better, I guess.
But I thought this was a good movie. Like, in my summation, it's a good movie. Maybe a little too much, maybe a little too extra. But I think it's a good movie.
I think if you like baseball, or you're a dude, or you like sports movies, you'll probably like it. If you're like me and you really don't care for sports movies or baseball, specifically baseball movies, then you probably won't like it very much. So that's your judgment to make.
So did you get a budget for this movie?
I did. It's $22 million budget, and they've made $80 million cumulatively.
Yes, they did all right. And then, so Kelly, if you had to rate this movie, what would you rate it?
I mean, clearly our ratings are going to be vastly different.
Vastly different.
Because I really did not enjoy this movie very much. It was very boring, and I just didn't really like it. I gave this movie a 28%.
Ooh. Oh. That is just unfair. This movie's not that bad.
For me?
I think you were just too drunk.
No. No. This isn't my rating. I gave it today.
No, that's fine. I'm going to stick by what I said.
I don't like baseball movies.
I gave this movie a 71%. It's a good movie.
Ugh, give me a break.
What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie is?
Oh, it's probably like 95%. Because it's like, it's another inspiring story about a man playing baseball.
Well, no, it's in line with what I said. It's 84 with the critics, 72 with the people. Oh, yeah. It's a good movie.
It's fine.
I just feel like you were a little harsh. Which is fine. I don't mind that. But this is not on the level of some of the movies that we've seen, which is what bothers me a little bit.
It didn't make me feel anything.
Wow. With a movie packed with so much emotion.
Okay, but think about when we watched Up, where I was a freaking mess and you felt nothing.
Yeah, I didn't really care.
Yeah, I didn't really care, exactly.
So now it's time for Kelly's favorite part of the podcast.
You just made a gross face. You made like a
It's more of a, I don't know if this is
what's the number?
Movie. It's number 253. 2002 again.
Oh.
Treasure Planet? Is that a movie?
Yeah, that's a movie.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what we got.
So, I've never seen this, but I know what it is.
Oh. Is it like Brendan Wall or Brendan Fraser and something?
Do you want me to tell you anything about it?
No, I never want you to tell me anything about it.
So, David, what do you think Treasure Planet is about?
It's about a whole bunch of people who are racing for a treasure all around the planet.
Okay.
And it's only 6 movies after The Rookie.
So, do you think it is live action or animated?
I do think it's live action.
Okay,
so it's animated.
No, it's not.
Yeah, just because Kelly's face.
It's not animated.
Is it half and half?
I can't
Okay,
speak.
so it's an animated movie about wolves and...
Why are there wolves?
Dog sledding, because of your face. So I'm just throwing out whatever I can.
What does my face say dog sledding?
It doesn't. I'm just saying it said I was wrong.
So you think it's about people racing around the world for treasure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Treasure Planet. Or in space to go to a planet full of treasure.
I don't really know, actually. I just know that this is one that I haven't seen.
But you know what it is.
But I do know what it is, yeah.
Okay. So, in the meantime, if you would like to follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram, at the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
Like, subscribe, leave us a review. Let us know if you like baseball movies or if you're on Team Kelly and you can't stand it.
I don't think it's about baseball and not baseball because I don't particularly care for baseball movies, but whatever. If you'd like to send us an email and tell us all about that, at thedisneymovies@gmail.com. But in the meantime, this has been At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
Bye! go. There's my thing. God, why did I take so many notes? That much that happened.
Hazer's gonna haze. Dogs, get out of Daddy's way. Ugh. Not good?
No, it's fine. It's just bad memories. Okay, what is this? What are we watching? What
The Rookie.
Watch? Okay. How's it sounding, Boo?
I think we have it dialed in now.
Clink, 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 clink.
Glug, 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 glug.
Those ice cubes look like little eyeballs. From this angle. Okay. Give me like 20 seconds.
I still gotta open my book. I'm gonna need a new book pretty soon.
Alright,
You know what I think we need? I think I need a wide rule book.
Okay, I can get you one of those.
Not really a college rule kind of handwriting size.
Okay, hold on. Oh god, what did I say about this movie?